Good evening, fuckers. We are back with the next Train Simulator Classic request video, and this is a request that came from MikkDC, and what we are basically doing is a sort of combination of the last two videos that I have done. So yeah, you can see the quick drive settings here, but this is for the second part of this journey, so don't read too much into it just yet. So the full length journey that he has asked for is the somewhat unusual Bedford to Brighton. So what I'm having to do is, I've done this before in a previous video where I did quite a similar route actually. So we'll do the Bedford to London part. Then my co-driver will, my number 2 driver will take over and move the train from St Pancras, where we finish the first part. It will take us there to London Victoria, where I will then again take the driver's seat, and I will then start the second part of the run to Brighton. Now, as far as stops on the way, he didn't ask for too many. In fact, I'm going to do far more than he initially asked for. So at first, all he asked for was between Bedford and London. He wanted to stop at Luton. No problem. I think pretty much every train that does the Bedford to London run will stop at Luton. And then on the Victoria to Brighton section, he wanted to stop at Gatwick Airport. Now, as far as the Victoria to Brighton section, yes, obviously we'll stop at Gatwick. We'll also stop at Three Bridges, Haywards Heath, and we'll also throw in a stop at Clapham Common, or Clapham Junction rather. So yeah, in fact that means that the stops at Gatwick Airport, Three Bridges and the Haywards Heath, I think, are all sort of like one straight after the other, relatively close to each other, but oh well. Now, as for the stops on the Bedford to London part of this trip, well, they will kind of be chosen for me, because to do that part of the run, we are going to actually do a career scenario. So once we get there, here we are. So you see, I mean, I've done 4 scenarios on this line. Yeah, I mean, I've got gold ratings on all of them. So this is the scenario we are doing. It's the only one left that is a full run. So yeah, we are starting at Bedford. Our final stop is St Pancras International. So yeah, exactly what we want. And I think there are something like 3, maybe 4 stops along the route here, and it does include Luton. It also does include the loco that he chose. He wanted a class 319, so that is what we have. He also knows full well that yeah, I'm doing this first part as a career scenario, and he did say something about that once I let him know. I will probably address it in the second part of this video, because even though the difficulty on this career scenario is only 2 out of 5, I'm probably still going to be concentrating quite a bit on this first bit, because yeah, I like to make sure that I get well, really, if I'm doing a career scenario, I want the 1000 point, I want the max score. But failing that, I want the gold rating. So as far as the specifics, it's autumn, it's cloudy, and it's just gone 7:10 in the morning. So well, the light should still be okay. So that's the setup. Let's get this up and running. So here we are. You are currently at Bedford. This service will be running the whole length of the line between Bedford and St Pancras Thameslink. Your duties will finish at St Pancras Thameslink, while this service will then continue on to Beckenham Junction. In fact, this service will continue on rather more than that. So, okay, let's let the passengers on. Let's make sure I've got the lights sorted out. As the passengers are getting on, yeah, that's all okay. Yeah, in fact, we are absolutely fine as far as how the train is set up. So yeah, it is just a case of waiting for everyone to get on board. So, well, we got a few more stops than I thought, but yeah, Luton is one, St Albans is another. I'm not surprised about that. So, right, let's, once the brakes are off, let's get underway. Now, whenever I've seen a Train Simulator Classic video before, and it's featured the Class 319, everyone always seems to be singing its praises. I don't think it's a bad thing at all, but I do wonder why it is so hugely popular. The only thing that I have noticed with all of these people who do really rate it is that they have actually ridden on one in real life, which of course I have not done. So I can only base my experience on this train, or with this train, on how I do with it in the game. And I say it's not a bad one to drive at all, but there are more interesting trains out there, shall we say. Let's lose a little speed there because we have this 50 coming up very soon. Okay, so that is why we had the 50 mph. Now, how long does it stay like this before our max speed goes up again? Here we are, 110. Absolutely no sign at all of any display on the route display to tell us, but oh well. So we got quite a distance actually to our first stop. First stop is, well, 16 miles or so, and that is Leagrave. So max line speed is 110. I'd be very surprised if we can do 110 in this. So Class 319 is not exactly bang up to date. It was around during the Network Southeast days, but some of them are still in use. A lot of them have been converted. 2 769s, I think. And because of all these sort of the naming schemes all being a bit sort of messed up and that, I always thought that the 319 was one of the earlier like emus, and it was replaced by the 321. In fact, it was the other way round. The 321 was replaced by the 319. But I mean, we do have a good, you know, nice sized and nice spacious cab, despite the fact that yet again it's another emu with a fucking great front door in the front. Yeah, I think by now my opinions of sticking front doors on the front of emus and demus is quite well known. I just don't see the point of it. You know, especially when it means that the driver is all sort of like, you know, squashed up in a corner somewhere at the front of the train, and you know, his view is restricted and he barely fucking fit in the driving section. It's just, yeah, it's terrible design. But the way it's been implemented here is not too bad. So we've got good view, cab's nice and spacious. There's another 319 passing us. We have managed to reach 100 mph, which say that does surprise me. We do have a speed restriction or a speed reduction coming up in 1.5 miles. We're only going to lose 3 mph, but yeah, I am, like I say, rather keen to get the max score, so I want to avoid any and all speeding, well, yeah, risk of speeding anywhere. In terms of our ETA, well, we are it doesn't look like we are going to be on time, that is for sure. So, into, I have no idea which tunnel this is. We are very soon entering, or re-entering a 110 mph zone. There we go. So now we can go full throttle again. So Flitwick station coming up, but we are not stopping there. We're going to go absolutely flying through there at certainly over 100. We might be able to make 105, I don't know for certain. So here we are, Flitwick station. Not exactly memorable. So we have made 105. Now, one thing I'll also point out about the 319 is that it is bimodal. It can use overhead AC power and third rail DC. So yeah, being able to go from the Midlands main line to Brighton main line, not a problem. So our ETA is currently has us arriving 30 seconds early, which is quite handy. Harlington station coming up. Again, we are not stopping there, we just go straight through. Does look like 105 is us topped out, and as soon as I say that, it then ticks over to 106. I must admit, I am kind of surprised that when MikkDC chose this route, he chose this loco. Midlands main line really did become like the haven of the class 45 in, like, you know, the 70s and early 80s. And knowing what a fan of the class 45 he is, I was expecting him to actually choose that loco should he ever, you know, request a run on the Midlands main line. But once again, my powers of prediction as good as ever. Now, it is very quiet in the cab of this thing. It's not deathly silent, but yeah, some very good sort of sound insulation within it. You do kind of get that impression when you look at the loco, especially the cab area from outside. So I'm pretty sure Leagrave is going to be the next next station. It's less than 2 miles away now. It's going to appear on the HUD any minute. There it is. Alright, let's hope I'm not overdoing it with the leaving the brakes this late. Oh, this doesn't look good. Oh, that don't look too bad though. Not sure I should really be running full service brakes this much, but perhaps I can release them a little bit here. Can we get the entire train on the platform? Only just. But yep, we can. So there we are. We did arrive early at Leagrave. Unfortunately, it means that it's just going to hold us here for a bit longer. We can't take that extra time with us to the next stop. So I'm pretty sure the next stop is Luton. Can we see as a passenger view? That is it though as far as passenger views goes. Right, next stop is Luton, and it is just over 2.5 miles away. So, we're currently scheduled to be almost a minute early, which is always very welcome. Timetable on this line is often rather tight, so I'm quite pleasantly surprised. Okay, our ETA is getting later, but we are still due to arrive well before the actual timetabled time. So Luton is now in view, 1.5 miles away. Right, start braking. I can be somewhat conservative with the brake use here because yeah, we are still set to be nearly half a minute early, which is absolutely fine. Now I'm pretty sure we are not going to be stopping at Luton Airport. I think after this our next stop is St Albans, I think. Don't quote me on it. We have a Class 66 with that very distinctive engine sound there. There you go, we've got the whole train on the platform, which is what we want. So yeah, we ended up arriving about 15 seconds early. Not a vast improvement, but nevertheless it's still early, so we'll still get the max points for this stop. So there is Luton anyway. So it'll be 90 mph speed limit as soon as we leave the platform here. But it does go up to 95 a little further along. There we go, so Harpenden is the next stop. Do like that view. Okay, so a mile and a half we'll actually be able to go up to 100 once more. Through Luton Airport. Luton Airport Parkway, I should say. So, speed limit continues to rise, 100 coming up in just a third of a mile, and then in well, less than half a mile on from there it goes up again to 105. Now we can break 105 as we have seen, so I can't just say, oh, I'll leave it in you know, full throttle and what the hell, because we will eventually start speeding. So Harpenden station is 2 3/4 miles away. Has been pretty much a walk in the park so far, this. So the difficulty was only 2 out of 5, although there are a few scenarios in the game where the difficulty is, yeah, set at 2, and yet they are properly fucking difficult, like really, really awkward. So Harpenden now on the view, and the max speed goes up to 110 just before we enter Harpenden station, which will certainly be handy when it comes to us pulling out of the station. We will be able to yeah, go full speed right from the off. So again, slam it straight into full service, which I'm fairly certain you're not really meant to do. But to the passengers, it probably feels like the emergency brakes have just kicked in. So you can just hear the compressors starting up there as I put the brakes down back into step 1. Now hoping we can get all of the train on this platform. Yeah, quite easily actually. So we are actually slightly late by 20 seconds. The next stop is St Albans, and then after that it's straight on to St Pancras, so we should be able to make up some of that time that we've lost. I don't know where that lost, you know, where we lost any of that time from. So here we go, there is Harpenden anyway. Alright, next stop is St Albans in 4 3/4 miles. And of course we are straight on the 110 mph section of the line. So ETA has us currently arriving at St Albans early, only by 25 seconds, but nevertheless. But I think we got the full points tally for that stop. 20 seconds late is, yeah, you're not going to get deductions for that. Speed reduction to, or max speed reduction to 100 in 1.5 miles, not really going to affect us too much. It looks like we've got a yellow coming up here. It's double yellow. Let's see what this next one is. It's a single yellow. Could really do with seeing what the next signal is. Do I continue braking or do I risk speeding up? Right, that green is not us. That's, no, we've got a red. You can bet your life it is not going to, you hear the compressors again, but you can bet your life we will not give us permission to go through. We'll try it. Yeah, denied. So we have got to wait for whatever it is that's holding us up to go. Now the fact this is a career scenario means this, yeah, this is not a fuck up on the line. This is definitely intentional. I thought we might have heard the compressors going off again. Looking at our ETA, we could be stuck at this for at least another minute or so, because St Albans, well, you can see it's 0.8 miles away, but yeah, we've still got, our ETA is 2.5 minutes. So I think, our attempt to get there early by, going along as fast as possible has kind of backfired, because it means we've caught up with whatever this other train ahead of us is, and we're going to be stuck behind it really for the rest of the trip. So right, it is yellow. We can go on to the stop at St Albans. But yeah, unless this train that's ahead of us suddenly takes a detour onto another line, which I think is very unlikely, then yeah, we're stuck behind it for the rest of this journey. Or should I say, the rest of this part of the journey, while we are making our way to London. But again, okay, so it's double yellow. Okay, now, so whatever train it is that's ahead of us, it is really shifting. So we've made it to St Albans, and what I'm hoping is that that train that's ahead of us is going to be moving at such a rate that in fact it already has happened. The light becomes green, so we are going to be okay, I think. There we go. So onwards to St Pancras Thameslink platform A. It's not a platform I particularly like the approach to. Currently scheduled to be 47 seconds early. I doubt that will be the case by the time we get there. Probably going to be a much tighter arrival time. I don't think I can do too many exterior ones here, because I need to be able to keep an eye on what these signals are going to be. Well, the next one's green, so yeah, I think we're going to be okay. I've no idea what that train ahead of us is. I mean, there are no HSTs that run on this line, so it's nothing like that, but whatever train it is, it's seriously shifting. Mind you, this thing can do 106 at least. We've done it ourselves, so you know, this isn't exactly a slouch. greens again. So ETA already is now down to only 29 seconds early. The fact that we still have some 17.5 miles to go means we've got plenty of time to, well, yeah, get ourselves late. Could also start making up time though, especially if we can hit 100 mph a bit sharpish. We're not far off it. Because that's when we have to start getting the sort of balancing act sorted out, because yeah, this train ahead of us might be stopping at stations like Radlett here. Obviously it isn't, because if it was, this would not be a green here. Next one looks green as well, yeah. Well, ETA hasn't changed at all, as next station is Elstree and Boreham Wood. Okay, I didn't realise that that line on our right was the line going the other way. So that train that was at Radlett, that must have been the train that was ahead of us, and we are now ahead of it. And it got moved onto the slower line, I should say. So we're about to come tearing through Boreham Wood at least 105 mph. And we have another green. Yeah. I'm not sure whereabouts the Elstree studios are from, you know, how far from the, oh, fuck off! There was nothing marking that. So that's 50 points off already. So, okay, so the max score is out of it. That might actually be enough to ensure that I now only get a silver, which I will not be all that thrilled about. So Mill Hill Broadway is the next one. Next station. There's no sign of any speed reduction, but then there wasn't any sign of one at the tunnel, and can only assume that tunnels all have a max speed limit of 100, because I did get a few of those instances happening in the previous video on the Darlington to London run. So we're back up to 105. Didn't take long to get back up to that speed. Now 106. I think it does top out at 106. We've never gone beyond there. Hendon is the next station, very much in North London now. Speed reductions are probably going to start coming along fairly soon, now that we're getting this close to central London. So here we are at Hendon station, and there is indeed a speed reduction coming up. Down to 95 just before we approach Cricklewood station. Oh, that's the warning about the speed reduction. We're already fine as far as that's concerned. So we're in the 95 zone now. Here is a Cricklewood station. Now we have West Hampstead Thameslink station coming up pretty soon. We have another speed reduction prior to that. And then further reduction once we have passed West Hampstead. This station is a bit ridiculous. It's a station that is only for Thameslink trains. So, say for example you, for whatever reason, needed to get off at this station. If you are not travelling on a Thameslink train, forget it. I cannot see any justification for that whatsoever. Even in the bad old days of, like, you know, LMS and versus LNER, they weren't that bad. I mean, they hated each other, but they weren't that bad. So we'll continue coasting because we have a 75 mph section coming up, but that is very quickly followed by a 50. So we are going to have to brake. There's no way we are going to lose 25 mph from coasting. I think I may have left this a little bit too late. Jesus, that was close. And now I've got to continue braking pretty hard because we're coming down to a 25. And that is just while we are going over points. There we go. So speed does go up slightly as we are going through Kentish Town. Almost how I pronounce it. Yep, there we are. So yes, the familiar sight of this extremely steep downhill section as we make the final approach towards St Pancras. Especially as we are stopping at the the Thameslink station. The Thameslink platform. So we are effectively going to become a an underground train for the last little bit. I forgot to alter the reminder thing. Yeah, we are on an 8. It is an 8-1. It doesn't do anything. It's just there to remind the driver that you're driving either a 4, an 8 or a 12 car train. So those signals are not for either of our lines, but our next signal should be a double yellow. So yeah, we are now on a 1 in 38 downhill. So our speed can and probably will really pick up if we don't control it well. As it is, we are scheduled to be almost a minute early. So there's our yellow signal, which has now just turned green anyway. So downhill section is starting to level out. It's still steep enough, but so here we are at St Pancras Thameslink A. So this is, yeah, where, shall we say, yes, I stop here and my number 2 driver will be taking over, and he will, yes, get this train positioned at London Victoria to carry on with the next part of this run. However, this was done as a what do you call it? Yeah, done as a what do you call it? A career scenario. That's what it was. So let's at least see how I did. I was that close to a 1000 score, but yeah, that fucking speeding thing at the tunnel there, that's what did me. So I'm certainly not going to get the max. Yeah, 952. So we'll see if that is a gold rating, because I'm not even sure it will be. Yes, it was. So, okay, well, there's that anyway, but yeah, that's where the damage was done right there. If it wasn't for that, it would have been a 1000. But I am now on level 51 on the ranking, and I'm one gold score away from 200,000 on the old rating points. Yeah, 199,136. So okay, right, anyway, enough of that. We have the next part of this journey to do. So here it is. Let's get this underway. Okay, we have been moved into position. So we are at London Victoria. We are on platform 16. And yeah, the train is all set. So let's get underway for the next leg of the journey. So for this leg, this is as much a reminder for myself as it is for anyone else watching. The request was to stop at Gatwick Airport on the way. I'm going to add about 3 more stops to that. So we will make a stop at Clapham Junction. We will also make stops at 3 Bridges and at Haywards Heath. Those last two, yeah, those stops come along after we have stopped at overdid the acceleration there. Yeah, those last two, yeah, they don't come along until after Gatwick Airport, so we have a bit of a gap. So, well, right, our speed is really coming down now. Unsurprising, we are on the 1 in 61 section. Yeah, the uphill gradient that I was expecting when I put the speed up, and yeah, clearly did it far too early. So we are now in the 45 mph section. And we are approaching Battersea Park station, which we are just going to be going straight through. I don't think there are a great deal of stops, or stations I should say, before we actually reach Clapham Junction. So it is, I think, fair to say that yeah, this has been the longest video I have done, insofar as how long it has taken me to do it, because the first part, the Bedford to St Pancras part of the journey, I actually recorded 2 days ago. And then while doing this part, I encountered a serious audio issue, and it ruined the video. No two ways about it. Utterly ruined it. Speaking of ruining, I'm now on a 1 in 85 downhill section. I can't remember the name of that section that we have just gone over, but yeah, you can very clearly hear the trains that are stopping at that section, or using it anyway. But yes, that audio issue that I encountered, yeah, was infuriating. I mean, the class 319 which we are in is a fairly quiet loco at the best of times. But in this, yeah, in my first attempt at doing this part, the cab wasn't quiet, it was completely silent. The audio, you know, the sort of like, you know, the rumble that you hear as we're going along, yeah, it just wasn't there. It was total silence. And it ruined how the game felt, and as well as how it sounded. And I spent ages trying to find a fix for it, and then I finally was able to do it. I'll show you what I did at the end of this video, but unfortunately not everyone is going to be able to do it. So we are pulling up at Clapham Junction. You know, the number of these runs that I have done, and yet I think this is the first time I've actually stopped at Clapham Junction station. Normally I'll just go straight through it. So just wait for the, there we go, doors are shutting. Right. I didn't mean to go straight into P4, but let's face it, we can. So, yeah, full throttle. I forgot to set the reminder. The thing is, that's all this does. It's just there to remind the driver that, yeah, we are in an 8-car train. So you can set it to either 4, 8 or 12. Yeah, we are in an 8. But yeah, it doesn't actually do anything other than, yeah, show that number. I mean, yeah, over-engineered, shall we say. So Wandsworth Common is the next station, which if you go straight through here, here comes, I'm pretty sure that's a 421. I do actually quite like that livery that the 421 was using there, but so as we leave Wandsworth Common Station, we are pretty much then going straight into a 70 mph section. Here we are going through Wandsworth, and then Balham Station comes along pretty much straight away after that. So yeah, all the changes are coming pretty thick and fast, which is fine by me. Have no problem with that. Right, in fact we can now throttle up to 70. So here is Balham Station. So Streatham Common is the next stop. No, sorry, next stop, next station. We are not stopping there though. In Norbury Station very soon after Streatham, and I think that is the last of the these sort of like commuter stops. We then got a fair gap until the next stop. So I think there's another 319. That one looked like a fairly short 4-car one. So here we are through Streatham. Not the most scenic part of London, but yeah. So once again, my prediction that there was nothing for a while after Norbury. Yeah. In fact, there is another station less than a mile and a half after Norbury. That is Thornton Heath. Here is Norbury Station. Yeah, I forgot all about Selhurst. So yeah, clearly there are plenty of stations after Norbury, because yeah, we haven't even reached Selhurst Park yet. So our approach to Thornton Heath, but I do need to start braking because yeah, we have a 60 mph speed limit. There we go. As we approach Selhurst, and then yeah, we have East and South Croydon. I think usually trains do stop at East Croydon, but we will not be. So we are into the 60 zone, and here is Selhurst Station. I think Selhurst Park football ground is somewhere around there. It's now hidden by these buildings that have come along. Right, now we got to yeah, start braking again because we are going down to 45 as we approach East Croydon Station. So that comes in. 377 passing us there. No, 477 I think. No, it was 377. I don't think there is a 477, is there? So, East Croydon Station. Yeah, it's difficult to see us in amongst all these bridges and that, but yeah, there we are. Yeah, we can start to get some speed up once we enter the 60 zone, and then go straight through South Croydon, and once there, that is the last of these sort of Greater London commuter stops, as is illustrated by the fact that yeah, we have a max speed increase to 90 mph, so Purley Oaks, and then of course Purley after it. But I don't think they come under Greater London. I think they do come under Surrey or something. So here we are at South Croydon. Doctor Who fans will know South Croydon as the home of Sarah Jane Smith. That is quite literally the only thing I know about South Croydon. Okay, we're into the 90 section now, so let's get some speed up. Purley Oaks. It's a reasonable sized station considering it really is a sort of like bugger all nothing place, and Purley that's coming up is just the same. So, yep, here we are, Purley Station. There we go. Speed is holding quite nicely. We are on a 1 in 263 uphill, but it's not a big deal. There's another of those Southern Rail livery. I think it's a 4 big, but It could be a 4 sig. There's not a huge difference between the two. I can't remember what the class is. I think it is a 421. But yes, on this stretch I think we've got quite a gap actually, and then we get one station that I can't remember the name of, and then very close after it is Gatwick Airport. So in fact we are increasing speed, but at such a slow rate that we can pretty much say we are just holding speed here at 90.3, which is a decent rate. I am pretty sure 90 is the maximum speed we can do on this line. So I can't remember the name of this tunnel, but it is a fairly long one. We are now on a downhill section, 1 in 200. Because of course we're now sort of traversing the South Downs, so we are going to be getting quite a lot of uneven terrain. What I'm hoping, especially as it's now flattened out a little bit, it's now 1 in 270, we're not going to keep accelerating and decelerating as we go over it, especially if the gradients stay around this sort of level. Was quite the noisy old 377. Right, so we've got a speed decrease coming up down to 80. It is quite short. If memory serves, we're going over a bridge there, and I guess the strength of the bridge is a little bit questionable, which is why, yeah, we are having to go a bit slower over it. Oh. Okay, yeah, we're on a 1 in 108 downhill section. No wonder that speeding thing caught me unawares. We were picking up speed at a reasonable rate. Yeah, we're still picking up speed now. So the 80 mph limit pretty much starts the moment we emerge from this tunnel. Yeah, there it is. So we're now in the 80 zone. And we are now going on an uphill on a 1 in 93 section. So yeah, we could do with going full throttle to get our speed up. We are about to enter, in fact we are now in 90 mph zone again. Okay, so throttle in position 2. I think that will be fine for keeping our speed at a constant. Well, I don't think we've got too far to go now before firstly, yeah, that small station that I forget the name of, and then Gatwick Airport. So yeah, it is Hawley Station, which we are just going to be going straight through, but Gatwick Airport is very close by. I don't even think it's a mile and a half between the two of them. Yeah, see, here comes Gatwick Airport. So yeah, it's less than a mile. So we can't even, well actually I suppose we could go through Hawley at full speed. We're going to need to start losing some speed pretty much as soon as we have passed through Hawley Station. So here is Hawley Station. An interesting layout there, but now we really need to brake pretty hard in order to ensure that we stop at Gatwick. Here comes another 377. Chances are actually that none of them have been 377s. I've just got the I'm not too great at identifying emus because so many of them all look alike, you know. I've never made it a secret that you know, I prefer actual locomotives to multiple units. So yeah, my interest is, yeah, much more on the old locomotive front. But, yeah, absolutely no problem getting the entire train on here, which is no surprise. We should be able to get at least a 10 carriage train on this platform. But I think we can probably get a 12 on here as well. So it's fairly quiet Gatwick Airport. There we go, doors are closing. Yeah, that's very much a plane taking off, that's not us moving. The engines in this thing are not that powerful. So next stop is Three Bridges, which I'm pretty sure is the next station. Here it comes. So, about a mile and a half. Yeah, I think we're going to need to brake a little harder than we have been. So again, no problem at all getting the full 8 carriages on the platform. So yep, here is Three Bridges Station. I don't know why it is called Three Bridges Station. I can hazard a guess that there are 3 bridges fairly close by, but I don't know where they are. And it's a name that doesn't really help you as far as, like, you know, being able to tell you what part of the country you are in. All you really know is that you are fairly close to Gatwick. So yeah, a lot of sidings and that around here. And we have a speed decrease coming up in about 1 1/3 miles to 80 mph. I'll stop accelerating once we reach 80 because we're not going to be that far from that 80 zone by the time we get there. Again, it's relatively short. It's not even a mile long, and then we can go back up to 90 again. Now I think again on that section we are going over a relatively long sort of viaduct. Now I don't know if that is one of the 3 bridges, but see, I think it's very unlikely because we are some way outside of the 3 Bridges station. So here we are in the 80 zone. once again my prediction as far as whereabouts we are was completely wrong. There's no viaduct of any kind. Well, there's this one that's crossing over us, but yeah, that is definitely not the one that I had in mind. So I have no idea why that was an 80 mph zone there. So Balcombe is the next station, but we will not be stopping there. We're now in a 90 zone, so let's get some speed up again. Okay, so we should be able to maintain our 90.3 speed. So a Balcombe station coming up. Really is a station that looks like it's in the middle of nowhere, but I think, yeah, we have the town or whatever somewhere, yeah, somewhere beyond all these trees that are blocking the view. Ah, well, this, yeah, this is the viaduct that I was referring to earlier. So I was like, yeah, miles out. Hayward Heath is the next station, and that is our final stop before Brighton. Coming in a bit faster than I would have liked, but yeah, we'll be okay. Didn't overshoot the platform, but yeah, it was closer than I would have liked. So that definitely is a 377 that's yeah, London bound. Okay, now we can get underway. So no more stops now until Brighton itself, which is just shy of 13 miles away, so not too much further to go. Now, I know we have a tunnel that is coming up with a very sort of like ornate entrance to it, and presumably quite the ornate exit. I'm not sure exactly where it is, but yeah, I suspect we will have already passed through Wivelsfield station before we get there. Another viaduct. So, yeah, here is Wivelsfield Station. And then we have Burgess Hill very soon afterwards. So, yep, Burgess Hill Station right there. Now, will it only be 9 miles to Brighton? Well, we can't have too many more stations. I know there are still some. Yes, we have Hassocks coming up now, which always, to me, sounds like it should be somewhere in Scotland, but no. So, Yeah, here is Hassocks Station. Ah, yeah, there's the ornate tunnel entrance. We'll have to check once we emerge from the tunnel. Check to see if yeah, the other side is as ridiculously over ornate as yeah, the side that we entered in. I mean, considering this is the line to Brighton, so therefore it's the home of the Brighton Pavilion, so yeah, gaudy, over-decorated guff is pretty much the order of the day. But no, that certainly isn't. Okay, so we are going to need to lose a bit of speed as the max line speed is coming down to 75. So we actually entered the 75 mph zone before we crossed the marker on the route display there. But we're going to be getting a fair few speed decreases coming along. Preston Park, which is the last station before we reach Brighton. It's pretty obvious really, considering Brighton is less than 3 miles away now. So we certainly won't be going through Preston Park at full speed, because yeah, there's quite a short gap between that station and the 40 mph zone. So I'm going to need to be braking. May even be needed to brake before we even start going through the station. Yeah, I will. So here is Preston Park. Get to see some of it anyway, but yeah, I've got to start braking a lot harder than this. There we go. Right, so we're now fine. I think we can coast this last sort of like mile. So I think that section on the right there is the part that takes you off to sort of Bognor Regis and all that way. So it makes a quite a pleasant change as we are approaching a major terminus, but the ground is level, I think, for the vast majority of it, if not all of it. So yeah, single yellow as is expected. It's showing our platform 6. We want to be coming in slow enough so that we can go over the those magnetic sort of clamp things that will engage the emergency brakes if you're going too fast. We're now doing fine. I mean, the entire train is well and truly on the platform now. So yeah, stopped well before the buffers, but yeah, there we are. As a 377 pulls in alongside us. But yeah, that then is the completed journey of Bedford to Brighton. Rather an unusual journey, that one. Yeah, I did get a few speeding errors on this part of it, but I did absolutely fine on the initial part. So all the speeding errors are here, and I got 4 of them. Not ideal, but there we go. So yeah, the Class 319 is not a great one to drive, and it's not because it is, you know, difficult to drive. It's not. It's quite straightforward. It's the audio. The audio is terrible. Now this one that I've just driven is the one where the audio is working at its best, but the engine, well, the electric motor sound is so quiet that you know, you can hear outside ambient sounds louder than your electric motor, which, let's face it, one of those electric motors is pretty much right underneath you where you're standing, so you should be able to hear it. But at least you can hear things like the rumble as you're going along the rails, and you know, the wind coming past you and all that, so you've got that there. However, the reason I could hear all that is because this is the one that I chose. Because of my editing, it looks like I've driven that one. No, it isn't. It was this one. And if you're ever going to drive the Class 319 and you have this option, because you've got the Midlands mainline route DLC, you always want to make sure you're using the Midlands mainline version. If you've only got the Loco DLC, which stupidly I did get, I mean, I got it years and years ago, with this one there is no sort of like ambient sound. So the rumble as you're going along the rails is not there. It's total silence. The wind coming past as you're picking up speed is not there. Still total silence, and it sounds awful. It is so bad that it utterly ruins driving this thing. So yeah, if you are one of those, and there are plenty out there who like the 319, and if you are one of them and you want to get this loco for your game, get it by buying the Midlands main line, the Bedford to London, or London to Bedford, however it's termed. Yeah, get that route where you have the 319 included. But this is the one that I'll say works. Really, it works better. But yeah, the Loco DLC is the one where it's done almost in total silence. It sounds awful. It really does feel awful, and it really does ruin it. So don't waste your time or your money with the Loco DLC. Get the London to Bedford route DLC, where you'll get the Class 319 with it, and it sounds a lot better. So yeah, there you go. Anyway, that was then Bedford to Brighton via London. Yeah, interesting, but at least I was able to get a gold score in the career, so you know, it could have been a lot worse. So anyway, that is that one done, and we will see you at the next one.